So today is a great day. Behind me there is an empty tank. It's been empty for like a week now because I've had something really cool planned for it. It's the Indian tank, let's do this. So what we've got here is a 4-foot tank, 4 foot across, and I'm not sure how wide it is, so I'll just get that number. It's 52 centimeters, which is like 1.75 feet. And I think it's roughly about the same height as well as it is deep. Now what that actually equates to is 280 litres or 74 gallons. So it's a really good sized tank. We have got 12mm glass with like minimal silicone, so you can't really see it, like you can't see where it joins, which I think just makes the tank look fantastic. And this glass is clear glass, they call it, so it hasn't got that very green tint to it. It's more of a sort of blue look to the sides. It looks better. It means that your anything that's inside the tank looks the colours it should be, rather than sort of a green tint to everything that you get with the more cheaper glass solutions, which I don't actually think looks that bad anyway. And to be honest, it's just quite posh for no reason. Stand that it's all sitting on, I actually made myself. It's just a couple of sort of frames and then some wood going across the top that pins it all together, and then some big pieces at the back and the side to lock it all on. Very, very simple design. It doesn't look that fantastic, agreed, but it can take some weight. There's a filter down there, but we're not using that, it's just spare nowadays. Now, because my carpentry skills aren't the greatest, I just paint it all black, and yeah, you can't see any of the imperfections, perfect. So for the lighting, we are using two 30-watt LED floodlights, 6,500 Kelvin, I believe, so that's like midday sunshine, which I have found is the absolute perfect medium for like plant look and fish look. So you get really good colours on the fish still, and you still get a good growth and greenness to the plants. So the lights are actually obviously just that unit there, and then I've screwed them to this piece of wood, and then I run the cables along the top and then just neatly down the sides. I think it looks pretty decent, doesn't it? And probably wouldn't want it in your living room, would you? But oh, it's suspended from the ceiling with the fishing wire, so you can't see that either. But yeah, pretty decent look. Everything stepping back looks quite nice and presentable, right? And just in case you're in any doubt as to how well floodlights can perform, these are exactly the same ones on this tank. This is my Amazon tank. Like I was trying to say to you, the greens look great. The fish still look lovely, got really, really vibrant colours on them. The reds that are all near the surface here as well, look, it's so red. This Ludwigia, this Palustra super red, and this Ludwigia Rubens as well, look at that. It's actually offshoots coming upwards now because it's going horizontal. And each one of these is a new plant that I'll be able to use on a different setup. And it also grows plants coming out of the water, so absolutely amazing. I love floodlights. Don't get me wrong, I've said this before, there's definitely a place for the high-end expensive ones. They work so well, fully customizable. But if you're on a very strict budget and you want to try and get into this, they can be a great option. Remember, they are sort of waterproof, sort of splash waterproof. Most, even aquarium lights are, to be honest, because they're meant for outside in like driveways and things like that. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys are interested in getting some of these floodlights. Now, lots of people use canister filters, that sort of thing for their filtration, which is absolutely fine, but I don't do that. I go for little internal filters. So this one here, 800 litres per hour, which is technically not big enough for this tank. That's what it says, but you tell me, looks pretty good in my opinion. We got super fast rainbow fish in here that love fast flow, so that's why I went with this type of setup where it pushes the water very quickly along the surface like this, and these guys can come in and out the flow. And I just love using these internal filters. I've got them in like basically all of my big tanks as well. Same as that Amazon one you just saw, just basically it's the same filter as that one, slightly different brand, but same specifications. Now this one's also lit by LED floodlights. This has got 3 × 20 watts though, instead of 2 × 30. In my opinion, the 230s work better than 320s. I don't know why, they just do. One good thing you do get though is this rippling effect, which I just think is really, I don't know, really cool. I love that. The look of that underneath the water makes it really feel like a river. Do you know what I mean? Because it's got like a sunlight spot hitting it and just shimmering. Oh, so good. But yeah, that's more on the filter later on when we put it in, but obviously I'm not going to put it in at this stage because there's nothing in the tank. So yeah, that is all the equipment. I'm sure you'll agree that is very basic. And to be honest, if you're looking to get into this, it's a very good way of keeping costs right down. Make your own stand, buy the glass separately, and just come up with some lighting solutions. You can just get the strip ones as well, which can be like really cheap. Get a couple of really cheap ones plants on the internet, they all sort of work. Some work way better than others, of course they do. And most of the time you get what you pay for. But it just so happens the floodlights work so well, but you just don't get the customizable sort of aspect of it, no app, stuff like that. Which for some people is a big thing. You want to be able to have that control. Now again, I'm not saying that the high-end and expensive equipment is no good and that you don't need it. That's not how it works. Like any hobby, once you get into it and get deeper into it, you want to upgrade your tech and that sort of thing. It's actually quite fun to do, and it's really exciting putting something new onto your tank. So yeah, by all means, like go out and get all that stuff. It works so well. It really does work well. Like the lighting in particular, like the Chihiros, the ADA ones, Twin Star, all those top brands, even the Fluval plant as well. Again, it's still expensive, but they work so good. If you want that instant, you know, it's done for you, that's the way to go. If you don't mind trying a little bit of DIY, then the LED floodlights are brilliant. But anyway, we now need to make a start on the actual building of the tank. Inside the tank, I mean, because the tank's built, yeah. So in the shop right now is everything we need for the substrate system. The first thing that will go in are these bags with aqua soil in. So it's just normal aqua soil you can see there. I use the stuff from Tropica. And then we've got these bags, you can see here, like mesh bags with, they've got a plastic zip on them, so nothing rusts. I'll leave a link for these as well because I know a lot of you will be interested. And the aqua soil just goes halfway up in the bags, leave half of a gap as well with no aqua soil, and that way it lays nice and flat. And that can go as the first base layer in the tank. We've also got our top decorative sand here, and then we've got a bunch of sort of coarser gravels that I'll add on later on, just for details and things like that, and also filling out areas at the back where we want to plant into and that kind of thing. But first of all, we want to get these bags in. Now they don't have to cover the whole bottom of the glass area. There can be some gaps dotted about, but mainly where you want the planting to be will be a good place to put the bags. I'm going to go one there, one there, one there, a bit further back. Right, cool, good start. We've got this big open area at the front, but we haven't got any aqua soil. Doesn't matter, we can put some root tabs in that area if we want plants to grow into that section. But to be honest, no matter where you plant, they'll find the soil. They always tend to anyway, especially if they're like tall growing plants, they tend to have long roots as well. And I've already got all the plants for this tank. I'll show you all that in a bit, but we need to get the substrate system sorted first. So yeah, I've got a load of root tabs that I use from API. I've got quite a few here. I'll probably just use all of these to be honest, because they'll cover that whole area then. We're sorted for nutrients everywhere. And then on top of this, we can use the decorative sand, which I've reused from a previous scape. It looks a bit groggy on the top, but it's fine, and it's full of like bacteria and everything still because it's all wet, and yeah, it should work really well. That is a strong start. We will need more in there than that. I've used 1.5 buckets so far. We've still got half left over to be able to use possibly the front section further back, but that'll be later after we've added in some structure to the whole thing. So here's what we've got. I think a really nice selection there. This is rhino stone and this is structure wood. Got quite a bit of it. I've actually got more if I need it as well, but there's quite a lot there and I don't want to overcrowd with too much hardscape. I want really good swim room. So I'm going to keep the rocks nice and low, no piling up, just because I want them to look like they've been dotted in a riverbed. This is going to be the Indian River at the end of the day with fast flowing fish, so we need that space. I made the mistake before in my Rainbow River tank of overcrowding the hardscape, and they didn't have anywhere to swim, but now look, you can see they can go everywhere. So that's what I want to do that again, but even better. So the first job is just to start getting pieces in and experimenting with the look. So at this stage, I'm not massively sure what I'm doing. I'm just trying to come up with a layout where it looks like it could have just fallen in a river that's flowing in that direction. So more of a triangular composition coming out this way. Now we can add some details to that. It can all be shifted around at any point. So just keep playing with stuff until you like it. I don't not like it, but something better might come up in a minute in the woods and we don't know yet. Yeah, happy with that as a start. Like I can see that looking like something you know, pop underwater with your snorkel and see possibly. So yeah, get some wood in. Yeah, I'm loving that first piece there because it's got good angle, but it's not in the foreground here. Like I've got loads of room, and that's the idea for swimming. I did have it more forwards, it did look good, but it was taking up the space. So that for me is the best option. Now this piece is smaller, but it's got good angles as well. Do we make it sort of at a focal point here, so everything's coming out from like that direction? I mean, it's looking good at the moment. I mean, that's looking pretty good so far. Maybe we'll need something in this corner. Maybe not though, you can overdo it. I mean, it doesn't have to look insanely like perfect, does it? Sometimes if you just leave it simple, it works even better. I do feel it all needs to come across a little bit, that's all though. So maybe I'll just shift everything along a little bit. Oh yes, there we go, all shifted along a little bit. I'm not going to put anything that side because I was going to put something extra in this gap, but I can use that gap for plants, and that's a really good thing to do. If you look around here, look, we've got loads of room down here for planting, and all the way down the back there as well. Tons of little spaces, so yeah, we're sorted for that. Now, I've used this wood before, not too long ago. It's bone dry looking, you know, to the eye, but I'm pretty sure it's sort of waterlogged inside still. But just to make sure, I'm gonna glue it to pieces of rock there using cyanoacrylate super glue gel, all safe for fish, shrimp, plants and everything like that. Just make sure that it is thoroughly locked down because there's nothing worse. When you finish your scape and then everything floats up and oh, it just feels like you need to start again when that happens, so I'm not risking it. Right, we are locked in, that's excellent. Next job is to start sort of filling in those areas where the plants are going to be. Back area for sure, because if I come to the side, look, you can see here we've got like a middle patch that's quite high and it dips down at the back. You actually want the opposite of that. You want it to come high at the back and then slope all the way forward. It gives a really good sort of perspective, and it makes you feel like the tank is far deeper than it actually is. Plus, it means that your background stems or whatever plants you're using are already at a good height straight away. Otherwise, they'd be right down low. This looks way better, and it's better for planting into. There we go, we have got way more depth going on now. Next up is some details around all the stones. Again, you just use little pebbles and things like that. It also helps to hide detritus and things like that as the tank matures, because that will inevitably happen. Some people like to just go for a clean sand look, and it can work quite well with this rhino stone, but I think just a little bit of detail, not too much, and more in the back areas as well, just for planting. You don't really see it, but it's really good back there for like I say, for depth, but also creating a whole big zone at the back for beneficial bacteria to colonize, because remember, we're not having a big canister filter or anything like that. All we're having is a little internal filter. So this whole system we're putting in the bottom now is what harbors all our beneficial bacteria. So we need to make sure we've got enough of it. And that's why I like doing these sort of low-tech setups that don't cost a bomb, because you don't have to have the expensive equipment as well. Everything you need is contained right at this bottom part of the tank. So I've got a mix of like 3 different ones here. They're quite similar, so I'm just gonna sort of chuck them in. I'm not taking much care with this, look, as always, just chuck it in there, let it fall where it wants to go. It's the most sort of natural looking way of doing it. Quite clean, this stuff, but the sand beneath it, that'll go a lighter color when the water's in there and the light's going through that. Yeah, it'll all lighten up. Yeah, I'm liking that, nice and simple. It's kind of clean, but still got that natural vibe to it, do you know what I mean? I think so anyway. Like, we're making a big impact with these big flat stones at the front here, and they're gonna reflect light and they're gonna look good as well. Sometimes you might be tempted to put epiphytes on something like that. I am not gonna. I think they're so beautiful and natural looking. They've got a ton of detail on them, and they just work for creating that rivery look that's just been smoothed over from fast flowing, because all river rocks, aren't they, are sort of rounded in that way because they've just been eroded by the water. So that is a hardscape done. Now on to the next stage. Now usually when I do the planting for these tanks, I just go with whatever plants, but for this one I've gone a little bit more strict. So I've actually looked up what plants are from India and or regions near, very near. Basically I looked up the plant, if it said India anywhere near it, I bought it. So I haven't got a huge list together from the available plants that I had. And if anyone knows any other ones that I could add to the tank, then feel free to leave a comment below. And the same will go for the fish later on as well. But yeah, for now, let me show you what I've got. So this is like the little mini greenhouse area with the other side of the studio. And we've got a good little mix in here of hygrophillas, of various crypts that I studied that said it had Cryptocorini undulata. We've got there. We've got Hygrophila compacta. We've got some glossostigma, but that's just, I've got those for another tank. So yeah, a really good mix of plants to choose from. Now I'm just gonna get planting straight away. I'm gonna start in the back area first and come forwards. I usually do it the other way around, but I feel like I can visualize this better from the back, and then I can add details where I want at the front. It's gonna be a big punchiness of green in the background, you see, so I don't want to be too sort of dense in the foreground. So first up, we've got Hygrophila costata, it says. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Costata, something like that. It's Hygrophila. It's got that classic big leaf look. It probably grows super fast. It's in the back. Oh, and it kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? All my plants are from Tropica, by the way. I buy them direct for them. I'm a dealer technically, so that's why I'm able to do that. But you have to order yours online or from your local shop or whatever. But they're always good quality, aren't they? They always look this awesome from like direct or in the shop, anywhere. Love them. Now to prepare these plants, it's so simple. Pull them out and they've got this rock wool around them. Now I like to keep as much of the roots intact as possible. Some people don't, I just find a good success with it like this. So I use a fork just to scrape it all off. Be gentle with it and then you'll keep everything intact. Now you're not going to be able to get absolutely every single last bit off unless you spend all day doing this, but most of it will do. Don't spend too long. For me that's enough, that's plenty. Now what I like to do is keep them mostly together, maybe split that into two sections, because they come apart. But if I keep them together like as a group, I found that in a low-tech environment, they seem to grow better. I've got no scientific evidence for this or anything, just what I've noticed. Take it or leave it if you want to try it that way. Next up, we've got some Hygrophila polysperma, same sort of family of plants, but this grows smaller leafed and it'll add a bit more texture and detail. I'm going to plant it like one of these pots amongst those three you can see there, just to fill out the gaps a little, slightly taller, just more interest really. And here's a good tip for balance. If you've planted one plant, this is the costata, if you plant it at one side, try and do at least a little bit on the other side as well, and it just creates a nice balance then. Just put one here, there we go, that'll fill out that nice area. All this is going to change when it's full of water, you see. It's all going to grow different heights, different varieties of green, so it just keeps that balance from left to right. So that's those two different plants in. There was 5 pots of each, so 10 pots total so far, to give you guys an idea of planting numbers. But do not forget, you need to regularly be misting, especially with these broadleaf plants like this. They're going to be like drying out pretty quickly. It's very warm in the UK at the moment as well, so I need to just keep right on top of this. Let's spray everything down, why don't we? Yay! Everything glistening. Ideal, let's keep planting. So we've got those big background stems. There's actually some more to go in there as well, but first we just want to bring some green into the foreground before we add even more to the back. So we've got more Hygrophila, but they're more compact version, and we've got some Cryptocorini undulata, so we can put those in now. I'm just going to do it quite sporadically, but keeping it close to where the main rocks are, and then more sparse in the foreground area. Now the other plants, I just use my fingers to plant them with, but with smaller ones like this, it's actually better with the tweezers. You can get right in that gap, which isn't much of a gap. Yeah, that looks good, like that. Oh, dropped a leaf. And then we've also got these really nice crypts as well for the foreground. Right, we've got a good amount of plants in there initially. I'm struggling because I'm used to putting a piece of Java fern or something in those focal point areas, which would be somewhere around the center there and there. And obviously there's no Java ferns in India. So, well, I don't think there is anyway. Let me know if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you will. So I'm just going to fill this up, see where everything's sitting. I might need to space it out differently to bunch up the plants a bit more so they become their own focal point. Hopefully you know what I mean by that, or just add to them. I've got some Limnophila aquatica, which is another one that is apparently native to India. So I'm going to add that one as well, but I want to do that once the water's right to the top. Okay, we've left a little bit of a gap at the top. To be honest, before I filled up with water just then, I wasn't really liking it that much, but now the water's in there, I think it's really got a rivery vibe. And do you know what else? Just a minute ago I said I didn't know that there was no Java ferns in India, and I just did some research because I was sure I read somewhere that there was, and it turns out there is in northern parts of India there are Java ferns, which is awesome because it means I can now add some. I'm going to put a big clump in there and some in that weird straight line area there, and that should look so good. Oh, there we go, straight away. I mean, it still retains that look that I'm going for, lots of open space, but it's got that punchiness that you've got in those central areas. It just makes it work. Now I need to add more of the stems in the background as well, the Limnophila aquatica. Right, that's all the planting sorted. A lot of green. I couldn't really see any that weren't green, if I'm honest, but this will grow in so nicely. These crypts will get bigger and wider, have a slight sort of different tone to them. It is gonna look good once it grows in a bit more, but at the moment there's tons and tons of swim room. Let me come down the side. Oh, it's a bit murky, but look, you can just see there's so much room for them to swim in. They can go all the way around as well. Let me just get this topped up, and then I can actually put a filter in. We can see the flow then. There we go, filled right up. Water is still very dusty, like I showed you before, look down the side. You should be able to see all the way to the end, and we can't currently, so let's get that cleared up and put the filter in, or put the filter in, which will clear it up, yeah. Now, as said previously, the filter going in, look, is a really basic one, just an internal, not even that big to be honest, but it pushes the water around enough. Most of the bacteria is being like colonized in the whole substrate system, so this is really push water around and polish the water, and that's what it's going to do. So yeah, you can see there, look, it's just a small little internal filter, but look at the amount of flow we're getting. We're getting good rotational flow, and that's exactly what you want. So look at that, even with the little bits going all the way around the corner. What this means is that anything that's sort of kept on the bottom here, as the fish swim around and peck at it, flicks it up into water column, comes around and gets taken into the canister, which you can then just like clean out routinely. Probably once every couple of weeks I have to clean out one of these. The water's still very murky though, so I'm going to put some API AQUARIAN in, not a sponsor video or anything, but just what I use every time, and that'll clear that in no time. If you're going to use this product, you need to make sure that you've got a fine filter sort of thingy, meshy thing, you know what I mean? Filter floss, that's the stuff. But make sure you got that if you're going to use it, and it picks it up in about an hour. Everything will be so clear. Right, it's actually now the next day. Most of the water had cleared up, but there was still a little bit of murkiness, but I know what that was. So it wasn't sediment or anything like that. When I put the filter in at the back, I put in some sponges from another setup which would have had beneficial bacteria on them. Now some of that's obviously died off, causing a slight clouding of the water, so I'm just doing a little water change quickly. I just did a quick 50% up and down, and that'll be absolutely fine then. It won't be perfectly clear because there's still going to be a little bit of that bacteria die off, but it's going to look good, you know, good enough to get our fish and put them in. I don't usually use this hose for my filling up, but the one I usually use just broke, the connector bit, but it does the job, doesn't it? So we're all good. And I think that's enough. Yeah, there we go, look, not perfect yet, but looking a lot better. So it's time to go get some fish. Let's go to the shop, come on. Come on then, Matt, let's make some videos. We're back at, no.
Yeah, but I can't see the screen this side, so then I go like this, and then I'm
oh yeah, okay, I'll watch the screen and make sure you stay in shot.
Yeah, right.
What? So we are at everyone's favourite shop, Made Ahead Aquatics Taunton, which is in Wellington. And this is Matt. You know Matt. And today, Matt, come this way a bit.
I told you. I'd step out.
There we go. So today we're here to get Indian fish, or fish originating from India, because
Yes.
I'm not even sure they would. Would you have got them from there?
Yeah, we do have a supplier in India.
Oh,
so
perfect.
some of the fish are from India. But yeah, the ones that you're probably looking at today probably aren't.
They are. Yeah, they are. So,
They are.
well, I definitely want one type.
Yep.
The one that I've not had before. I hinted to it, I think, in a previous video, which was fast ones. I think, you know, they're called torpedoes for a reason.
They are.
But also, you know, I think it'd be good to. It's a big tank, and the torpedo barbs you got in. I think you sent me a photo.
Yeah.
Matt sent me a photo
Thanks
of the
for
same
the
ones.
photo.
Yeah. They're not huge, which is cool because to see them grow, and it means that you know you can get a good group of them. But I'm after something else as well. But I'll leave that to you to choose, or help me choose. Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
Let's have a look at the barbs first.
We've got some things.
We have.
Yeah, we've got some things.
Sweet. I'm not even cutting it. I'm just going to keep walking.
Just going with it.
I'm just going with it all in one take.
Oh, there you got a lush backdrop here. You can do Denison's and
We've got
Danny.
Dennis and Danny.
I'm not Indian.
That's correct. You are not Indian.
There we go. So yeah,
Okay,
you can see there's a sort of medium one from the last shipment in the back that's a bit more coloured up. But yeah, the little ones, they grow really quickly.
So that's the last shipment, and then that other one's a big one.
Yeah.
Crikey, that's massive.
Yeah, they're chunky. They
But
grow
that's
quick.
that's not even full size at all, is it?
No, definitely
They're way
not.
bigger than that.
Probably nearly double that, probably, to be fair.
So is this going to be okay for my 4 foot then? Because it's going to take a while, isn't it, before they're...
Oh, crikey, yeah, they grow quick, but you know, you're looking a good few months between getting them from the small size you see there up to like doubling that.
right. So
so
then
yeah,
the full size is going to be a long time.
Oh yeah, you're probably looking, well, it obviously depends on a lot of variables, but I would say, yeah, a year before you're even looking at anything chunky.
Okay. So for the 4 foot tank I've got, it's not massively heavily planted or hardscape. I've left a lot of space for these guys to be able to swim in. What we're looking at for numbers?
So again, they're shoaling, so a good number anywhere sort of from 8 upwards, I would say. They are, obviously, again, you've got to think of how big they're going to get, but at 4 foot, they'll be fine. But yeah, I'd probably look at a good group of 8 upwards, especially if you're looking at other sort of shoaling fish to go in with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then these can be your focal shoal.
Okay.
With them sort of buzzing around as the big boys, and then you could put a few smaller species of shoaling fish in with them.
Okay, wicked. So we definitely want... So 8 of them, you reckon?
I think that would be a good number. I mean,
Okay.
You can always add to it later as well if you want to, if you wanted a bigger group of them. But 8's a good number that they're going to feel safe and shoal together.
Sweet. Okay, what would you suggest? Are you already thinking in your head?
I saw something this morning that I thought of if you were going to ask me. I couldn't remember if you wanted more.
Okay.
But yeah, I've already thought of something which are a little bit different. And then they came from our Indian supplier, so they are...
Sweet.
from
Authentic.
there. Yeah,
Can we just...
authentic.
Matt, can we just switch off the fan a sec? Because as we're getting closer, it gets like really funny on the mic. There we go. And now we can all melt.
Yeah. So, my thought was drakefin barbs.
Oh yes, that lovely looking.
Yeah,
That's
really cool. So the males get that really long extended dorsal fin that you can see, which is really weird and really different.
I've never seen these before, Matt.
No, they're a bit interesting. I've meant to point them out to you a few times, and then when you said you were doing the Indian setup, I thought I'd leave them because I knew that they would tie in quite well to that. So yeah, males get that large dorsal, females not so big on the dorsal fin. You can sort of see the females up here. And they're getting a maximum size of like 5-ish centimetres.
Okay.
Males, yeah, a little bit chunkier normally, but yeah, I think they'd be a nice little addition, a little bit different, have that big dorsal fin to them, and they'd look cool.
So can we get a bigger group of them? Would that be all right?
I would say so. I would do, because they're only getting, you know, essentially the same size as like a cardinal tetra, really.
Yeah.
You could get a decent group of them in there buzzing around with then the denisons as a focal point.
Yeah. And then what do you reckon? Just call it a day there to start with.
Yeah, I think there's some other interesting bits that we might be able to get at a later date. I'd get those in there, get them settled.
Yes. Okay. All right. Then
And
you
then I've
next
got-
order.
yeah.
You have a thing. What is going to look cool? Maybe something like real focally or.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff out there that we probably can lay our hands on. So yeah, we'll have a look. I'll get Martin to have a look, to be fair.
because I've asked anyone in the know like what they think should go below as well, because I've got quite a decent Indian fan base, you see. So every time I've hinted at doing an Indian tank, there's been loads of people commenting. So I'm sure they're going to have some good ideas as well.
Yeah, definitely. If there's any ideas, then we'll see if we can get hold of them. That'd be really cool.
Cool. You know what I'm going to say next?
Bag 'em up.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, so Matt messaged me saying someone has been in anonymously and just given me a £50 gift voucher.
Then put the code on the screen. Oh no, you're going to use it anyway, aren't you?
Use it.
Fine.
£50 gift voucher to spend in the shop, but they didn't leave their name and they wanted to remain anonymous, which is awesome. But now I feel bad I can't say thank you to them personally. So if you are watching, and you probably are if you're giving me, which you didn't need to do, but thank you so much anyway. I'm going to use your voucher to get the fish for the Indian Aquarium today. It's awesome, thank you. Matt's just whipped this out. Show me the front. This is like, is it ancient?
It is quite old, yeah. The shop's a good 16 years old, and I think this book was here when I started. So yeah, it's quite old now. But yeah, it's a great book for all of the different Indian fish that you can get hold of. These are some of the other barbs that I was thinking of. Some of them get quite chunky though. There you go, there's a red line torpedo barb. But yeah, yeah, it's very discoloured.
Oh yeah,
obviously will have just come out of they'd have caught it, taken a photo of it straight out of the river, and then popped him back a little bit later, sort of thing. So yeah, just to document them. So yeah, we'll have a browse through here and see, see what we can find and see if we can get hold of them. That'd be really cool.
We have fishies. Our first job is to get them temperature acclimating, and to do that we need to turn the lights off. There we go. Ooh, torpedoes. Hey, they're cool, calm. They're not calm. Oh, there's no colour on either sets at the moment at all. That's fine, there will be. There'll be plenty of colour in no time. Calm down, step away. Okay, that's long enough. We can now turn the lights on and release the fish. Now, I fully trust Made Ahead Aquatics, the store that I get these from. I know behind the scenes, I know the lengths they go to ensure that they've got everything covered, so I can just release these fish straight into this tank. There's no other fish anyway, so it's technically a quarantine. You might need to, if you don't know about your store or trust it as much, but I do, I completely trust it. I know that this is all good, so I can just cut the bag and no faffing about and just let them go straight in. Zero stress as well then, really. Well, very minimal stress anyway. Okay. And lights on. See that? I switched like those off and then those on at the same time. I thought that was quite smooth. Here we go then. No faffing, just straight in. First one's going in. This is the Torpedo Barbs. Whee! Don't know why I made that noise. Okay, I thought they were going to be all over the place, but they seem okay. Good. Yeah, I thought they'd be hiding. That's what I mean by okay, but yeah, good. I like that. Okay, they're hanging around in a little shoal there. Brilliant. And then next, obviously, the draped fin barbs. Oh, it's so satisfying popping the bag. I don't know why. Ow, I just nearly cut my finger off. Okay, there you go. Oh, this one's got stuck. There we go. Woohoo! Oh, good little shoal. Looking brilliant. Look at that. I did that same noise again, didn't I? Woohoo! So the draped fins have gone straight to the centre, and the torpedo barbs over on the side here. They seem to be pretty calm and decent. There's nothing, no one's hiding. That's what, oh, there we go. A really nice movement in the foreground there. Look at that. It's going to take them a while, isn't it, to get used to their surroundings and start exploring more. But the good thing that is about this tank, look, is there's so much space available. Normally, you guys know what I do. I fill out, that area there would have had another piece of hardscape. I would have put more around there, more up there. Maybe some more in the middle, and even more plants, but I deliberately didn't want to do this on this one. Two reasons. One, I know I want more fish as we go along, and two, this is definitely something you guys can replicate as well, because the cost here isn't huge. So although this filter we've got here did have some media in it from a previous setup, it's all pretty much brand new in there, isn't it? That's why we now need to add beneficial bacteria. You need to do this now the fish are in, and that basically gets the cycle started, if you like. The beneficial bacteria plus the waste from the fish, means that it's all going to start doing its own sort of system straight away on the plants, on every surface, but also throughout that substrate layer that we put down there as well. Now, the beneficial bacteria I use is Quick Start from API. I've always got on so well with it. For a tank this size, I think I need like 3 or 4 capsules. Let me check. It's all written on the back. No, I need way more. I need like 6. 4, 5, 6. Now we might get some bacteria die off because there's only a few, you know, for this whole size tank, there's only actually a few fish in there. They're getting a lot more comfortable already. Oh, hang on. It might have been just where I was thrashing around at the top of the tank, but they seem to be exploring a lot more in a really cool sort of way. I like this central area here. I knew this would happen. Every time I do a hardscape that leaves that central area, the fish like to swim through it. So that's worked out really nicely, isn't it? Well, they're already getting the colour back on them. Look at those draped fins. They've already got that nice yellow to them. And we've got the barbs, look, they've got some red as well. Come tomorrow morning, they're gonna look so good. So it is now the next day, and as you can see, the water has cleared up beautifully. And we're now getting some really great behaviour from the fish. They seem to be a lot more comfortable than they were yesterday, and the colours on them are actually really good as well. The reds are really starting to come through on the torpedo barbs, especially this one here. It seems to be like the dominant male of the group. And again, those yellows on the drape fin barbs are really starting to pop as well. One thing this tank is going to need though is some floating plants and a cleanup crew. Now, although not strictly Indian, I'm going to be adding bristlenose plecos that I had in my previous setup because they're so good at doing cleanup jobs. And at the moment, there's not going to be a lot of food for them, but they've got all that wood to chew on if they want to come out. You going to come out? Come on. There we go. So in no time at all though, there's going to be diatoms, algae, everything all over this tank. It's quite a decent amount of light you see, and not tons and tons of plants, so they're going to have food within days. We'll also feed them in the meantime as well. And then last but not least, we've got some water lettuce. This is just going to get blown around to start with, but eventually it'll just settle down in its own little spot. And after researching it, these are native to parts of India as well. What's really good about floating plants in a low-tech tank is that they will use CO2 from the atmosphere and pull up nutrients from the water column and grow very fast. Any plants that grow fast mean that there's less chance of us getting algae. And there we have it then. This is by no means the finished product. Given the amount of space in the aquarium, we're going to be able to add a lot more fish into the tank. But as I say, when doing a fishing cycle, you need to start with small numbers and build as you go. Every day for a couple of weeks, I'll be testing the water in this tank just to make sure there's no spikes in nitrite or ammonia. If there is, then a nice big water change will happen straight away. What this means is that there's never any high toxicity levels in the tank, and there's no harm done to the fish by being in the tank without a fully cycled sort of established environment. Over the next few weeks, the tank will become fully established given the amount of fish that are in here producing waste. This waste is then consumed by the beneficial bacteria, they multiply just for the right amount of fish that we've got in the tank at this time. This is why it's good to add fish slowly. I hope you've all enjoyed this build, and if you have, please leave me a like and a subscribe, maybe a comment as well. Hit the notification bell because there's more coming for this tank. This is nowhere near the end.